St James's Park, all set for a quarter-final of the Carabao Cup. Newcastle United at this stage in the competition for the third season in a row. They know what to do, they know what they've done in the past. They got past Leicester City in the last 8 in 2023. Last season not so fortunate, losing on penalties against Chelsea down at Stamford Bridge. But tonight we're here at St James's Park under the lights. Fantastic arena, fantastic opportunity for Newcastle to really put a different complexion on their season completely. The players arriving here in good mood, focused, ready for the challenge ahead, knowing that a place in the semi-finals could be awaiting them, and they would have that to look forward to over Christmas. Of course, there's some massive Premier League games to come, but getting into the semi-finals of this competition, you know, it's got to be where Newcastle are at now as a club. They're challenging for the domestic cups. It's something that fans, you know, you don't have to go back too far when Newcastle didn't even bother taking the cup seriously. So to be at this stage, absolutely huge for Newcastle United. Can they do it here tonight in 90 minutes against Brentford? Let's hope they can. A penalty shootout could be on the cards, but hopefully Newcastle do the job within 90 minutes, get through that semi-final place. Well, Newcastle United have cruised through to the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup on, it felt like a really straightforward night for Newcastle tonight. They were in control very early in the game after Sandro Tonali's strike at the Leazes end there, and that really just set the tone perfectly for Newcastle. It calmed everybody down, and you know, Tonali just had a magnificent game tonight. He oozed class all over the pitch, and it was no surprise that he grabbed the second goal in this game to put Newcastle in full control just before the break, 2-0 up, and yeah, it just felt like there was no stopping Newcastle after that. The second half was, I wouldn't say a non-event, because Newcastle obviously got the third goal, but Fabian Schär tapping home at the Gallagher end, and you know, that just raised the roof really, because that was the insurance goal. So 3-0. There was no coming back for Brentford. Yes, they got a consolation goal very late in the game, but the game was done and dusted. Every pass was being cheered. Newcastle in the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup shouldn't have too much worries over who they get in the next round, because they've got to enjoy the night tonight. But we'll see who they get in the draw tomorrow. But ultimately, great night for Newcastle and into another semi-final. Well, time to reflect on what was a really successful night for Newcastle United against Brentford. It doesn't feel as hyped up as previous sort of cup victories, but you know, we'll definitely take it, because Newcastle United today had a real grip of this game from the very start of the game. They went into it as favourites, and I think ultimately when Eddie Howe sits down and looks at the video, he'll be pleased with so many different aspects of it. But you know, while atmosphere was jumping, there was no sort of nervous feel to it. It wasn't sort of knife edge stuff like the run to the final in 2023. It was a very much a controlled performance, and I think Sandro Tonali oozed class in that number 6 position, and I think he was the key reason why Newcastle was so calm really. And for Tonali to get those 2 goals in the first half, it just absolutely you know, steamrolled Brentford, and they were left with, you know, a mountain to climb in the second half. And Newcastle fans, you know, it was party time. I think once it went to 3-0 when Fabian Schär tapped home, the crowd were shouting shoot for a number of players who pushed forward and tried to get in on the act. But look, Newcastle are into the semi-finals of another Carabao Cup. Who you'll get in the next round we'll know tomorrow, but I think realistically when everybody sits down and, you know, digests this performance and then prepares for who Newcastle will get in that semi-final, they'll feel over 2 legs that Newcastle got an unbelievable chance. I don't feel Newcastle United are at their complete best at the moment, but they've come a long way in just the space of a week. I mean, losing 4-2 to Brentford was a shocking experience for Newcastle, but I think now 2 wins on, beating Leicester City 4-0 and beating Brentford here tonight in a great cup evening. And the great thing for Eddie Howe is that, you know, they now go to Ipswich and the pressure is pretty much off in some ways. I mean, they've got to go down to Ipswich and get something, but I think really it's one of them where Eddie Howe will believe his team are starting to get where he felt he could get in pre-season. So a great night all round, really. I think what we now know is that Sandro Tonali is the number 6 here, and Bruno's very much the number 8, and both players played their part in this one tonight. And I think the only downside was a couple of players picked up yellow cards, including Bruno and Fabian Schär. They'll both miss the first leg of that semi-final, but by that time you would like to think that Sven Botman will be back, and you know, there's players queuing up to play in that midfield. So it was a great show of how this squad can be. We asked Eddie Howe after the game if he felt he could afford to lose anybody from this squad. His answer was no. He doesn't want to see anybody leave in January. We've had links with Sandro Tonali, with Serie A clubs. We've had Kieran Trippier linked again with a move. We had Martin Dubravka linked again, and Eddie Howe says he doesn't want to sell any of them. And that was his request to his board almost. We know that Newcastle may have to sell to buy. We know the PSR rules are, you know, choke and Newcastle United really. But I think, to be totally honest, Newcastle United must stay calm in this window. They cannot, you know, afford to lose a big name player. They've got to keep this squad together as much as they can. Yes, there'll be sort of fringe players potentially, you know, will be sold eventually, but for now, Eddie Howe knows you must keep the majority of the squad together. Let's not forget, this is a club that not so long ago used to write off the cup competitions. They used to write off this cup. Eddie Howe's record in this competition is absolutely impeccable. I think that was 8 successes here at St James's Park since he took charge in the League Cup. And that's absolutely fantastic. But let's not forget that Newcastle United, at one stage, even put out a statement saying that they didn't want to, you know, focus too much on the cups. They wanted to focus on staying in the Premier League. Now they do both. Now they realise what a cup victory can do for this club. It's been a long time. The Newcastle United are in a semi-final again of this competition, and over 2 legs they believe that they can beat absolutely anybody that, you know, the cup draw throws at them. So let's look forward to that. Let's remember what a great night this was against Brentford. Newcastle United in the last 4 of the Carabao Cup. And nobody is complaining about performances anymore.